Hi, it's Dawn. I'm working today in my handmade journal that I've been working in for a while, where I just play with watercolors and make patterns. Sometimes I freestyle them and hand draw them, and others like this, and then other times this was just a ruler, and then other times I use stencils like this. And today I have this 8x10 stencil from Gelli Arts, and it's I'm not even sure what it's called. It's called looks like window panes to me, but I went ahead and I have a page here. So as I work through my notebooks or my sketchbooks, sometimes I start off and I had no idea what I was going to do here. I started off doing something and I left off and I've slept, I've purged, I don't know. So this 8x10, because this book is 9x12, this 8x10 stencil fits here. I may fill this in later, probably will actually. But in the meantime, I thought I've got this plastic palette that I want to, we'll say, use up, for lack of a better word. And I thought that I would do like a little rainbow thing, a ROYGBV. And I might start red and go so that the teal is, well, teal's going to be in the middle, but I'm thinking now, do I want to do that or do I want to do, I don't know. But I'm going to do a ROYGBV, and I may just do a ROYGBV across the top-ish, just to represent all the colors. And I pulled out my Escoda 10 flat. I used this recently in another video, and I'm not sure I'd used it before. And then I also pulled out my trusty handy dandy number 5 round, but I think it's gonna be a little too small for this project. And then I've got a number 4 round, which, you know, makes no sense because this is labeled 5 and that's the bigger one is labeled 4. Same company, but you know, what are you gonna do? So I thought that I would pull out a couple brushes and just play around and see. I really want to try to get some better practice in using my flat brushes, which I just don't use very often, and I know that muscle memory would benefit from. This is a 1/2 inch wash, and this is a 1/2 inch wash also. Same company, Simply Simons. I'm just doing a little quick comparison. They look to be about the same. All right, well, anyway, so I'm just gonna do a little pattern. I don't know if you can see that very well. Pencil lines kind of disappear. And this is what I do when I'm not real sure what else I want to do. I'm going to pull this camera down just a touch. And it's just good practice. Oh, I could play around with a mop brush too, but I don't know. 1/2 inch flat. There's another. Okay, but see, this one is shorter bristles, and I know somebody out there knows this better than me, but this feels like it might have a little more control over it. Okay, well, and some of these squares are quite small and some are quite large, so it'll be interesting to see kind of. All right, enough talking. Let's more doing. So we're going to start with this Escoda 10 flat. Going to I don't have a lot of red things in my house anywhere. I don't wear a rainbow, and yet this is very orange, and yet I find myself when I paint, if I don't know what else to paint, I find myself enjoying a rainbow theme or a ROYGBV theme. I find it very pleasing, a palette. And the goal here is to not make these all, you know, like all the reds the same, is to make some of these reds. And there's some schmutz in this. This is a super old palette. This plastic palette I have probably had set up like this in my stash, sitting in my stash for probably, I don't know, at least 5 years. maybe longer. And removing the bits of debris as I come across them. Alright, so I'm going after them. Anyway, the goal here is not to create new colors from, introduce, the goal is just to use this palette up. And that's kind of my quest today, is to practice painting, a little muscle memory, a little warm up. Alright, I have to use my finger. I'm off camera trying to get this schmutz off the brush. Where's my neutral? Got some neutral tint sitting over here. Let's wet this guy up. Kind of keep a little neutral constantly available, because you never know when you want to knock back these colors and neutralize them a bit. I don't tend to paint, any projects that I do in this rainbow. Alright, that paper is, I need the clamp because that paper's not laying flat. These are kind of on the small side, these bull clips, but I can't seem to locate my bigger ones. So I'm just going to clamp a couple pages together to try to help this guy lay flatter, hopefully. Because what I'm trying to reduce is the amount of bow in the paper, so that this, I'm not sure that's helping much, but we'll go with it for the moment. Alright, let's grab, I'm not even sure what's on the edge here. Looks kind of orangey. It is. This just goes to show you that anybody can pull out some paints and any kind of stencil, or you could take a top of a peanut butter jar or a ketchup bottle and draw circles with it, and then just sit down and grab whatever colors speak to you that day, in that moment. And I am not a precision painter. I don't pretend to be. I will never claim to be precision at all. I have fun. And to me, fun is just not worrying about the lines. I mean, yeah, I worry about the lines a little, but I don't freak out about them. They're a guideline, not a rule. Because if I worried about them, I'd sit here and, I mean, there's part of me that wants them to be crisp, but the other part of me just wants to paint and not worry about them. Because I find that as I go, the things that were bugging me in the moment that weren't exactly painted precisely, I don't see them later. And I worried for nothing, if you will. Oops, I went out the lines there. Don't care. I mean, I do, but I'm learning to let go. So I have two competing sides. Side number one wants things to be beautiful and aesthetically pleasing. And side number two wants to get to the next thing. So they compete. Man, there's a lot of schmutz in this paint. Didn't realize there's that much dust or whatever, and I guess when I wet it and I activate all the dust and they all ball up. But when it sits on your desk, it accumulates dust. I like to leave my windows open in the spring and in the fall where I live. It's a beautiful time to have the windows open, and that's what I do, and so dust invariably gets into my house. Ooh, it's pigmented. Mass color, right, mass tone right there, but it's all right. So I'm doing this with I think I decided this is a 1/4 inch, because we know this is a half. This is a 1/4 inch flat. I think we decided that this is a 1/4 inch flat, and I'm doing this today with this brush because I want to give myself a little more practice using it. What I want to do is not grip it so tight and kind of move back on it a little bit like I am here, holding it here rather than being all the way down like a pencil. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do that, if that's sustainable or not, but we're practicing. Schmutz. These look like window panes to me. Usually they name these stencils, but they didn't name this one. That's okay. I'm kind of going back and forth between the reds and the oranges. My orange over here, up here on this palette, is, I believe, Quinn Gold. Like I said, it's such an old palette. I don't know all the colors, but I'm just kind of going for it. That feels like a Quinn Gold, doesn't it? It's not burnt sienna, because I've never used burnt sienna. I know. Everybody uses burnt sienna but me. I found Quinn Gold early in my watercolor exploration, and I fell in love with it, and I have used it ever since. Of course, now it's not manufactured anymore, but that's not the point. Found a dried up tube of it the other day in my stash. I'm going through my stash this year. My motto this year, my mantra is use my stash in 25. But I went through my stash and I found a really tiny bottle of Daniel Smith Quinn Gold, but it was 100% hard, so I hacked it open, and then I'm taking the dry pieces out and I'm putting them in palettes to reconstitute. Okay, where do I want to go with this? I think I want to do this right here. Well, that's interesting. Okay. I may end up going back to my round as I get smaller in these shapes. Round's a bit easier to control with that tip and to get into tight spots. Yep. Thought I picked up some red with that, but doesn't quite much showed up, does it? Man, I love that clean gold. Good thing I've hoarded a couple tubes of it. Yes, very good thing. Pick up a little neutral tint this time and see what happens. Oops, that wasn't nearly enough neutral, is it? Nope. And here I am choking it again like a pencil. Oh well. On these smaller boxes though, it's not easy. It's a good thing my job does not require a steady hand. I just have to have it in my hobbies. And I say have to have it. It's just, I don't have to have anything in my hobbies, but you know what I mean. Alright, let's tone this big boy down. Oop, that might be a little too much toned down, but oh well. Here we are. It's a big enough of a square though that I think I can spread it out and it'll still look pretty good. And it will dry lighter. Why did I say darker? I don't know. Alright, I guess one more down here and then we're moving into maybe some yellows. You know what? I'm going to do this up here and then I'll move into some yellows down at the bottom. See, this is why I wanted this brush. Cover all this real estate. Trying to grab a lot of yellow, but it's just the orange is overpowering. This guy down here, almost left him alone. And he would have dried with a hard line. Not good. That feels very lemony, doesn't it? All right, how much more lemon do we think we can get here? Ooh, wow, that really activated. Oh, yeah, we found a new level of lemon. Raise this up just slightly so I have the whole bucket. I don't have to worry about moving it. Next time I resuscitate an old palette, I might get a little can of compressed air and see if I can get some dust off of it first. Okay. Now what I like doing when I do these rainbows is I like doing what I call the cha-cha, where I push this color this way and then I push the other colors this way. So there's like, so I'm gonna like leave this one blank, for instance, and I'm gonna put green in here. And it's a bit of a feathering technique, I guess, is a better way of describing it than the cha-cha, but what happens is I think it just helps your eye travel, and it's not such a hard break between colors. This is not a hard and fast rule, it's just something I try to do. Like, and if I do green, I'm probably going to do like a yellowy, orangey, gambogy, warm yellow down here, just to yeah, I didn't finish that sentence, did I? A warm yellow, and then I might do a cool yellow again. It's that whole back and forth thing is what I'm trying to establish. I'm not a big fan of using mass tones, the full strength pigment. Typically, I have a couple in here obviously, but the goal here is to get a variety of colors. And I think that's just, I think your eye, my eye just likes it. It just goes, oh, that's nice. Even if I don't think it, my eye perceives it as more aesthetically pleasing. And then green, of course, is one of my favorite colors. Green and turquoise. Now, this box right here is super teeny tiny. So I'm going to take this little number 2 shader from just a super tiny flat brush. That's all it is. And I'm going to grab some of this green. And I'm going to guess this is sap green, but I don't know. But I'm going to use it for this box just because of the size of the bristles. Just makes a bit of sense. And this is on a little shorty shanky, you know, compared to some of these others that are a lot longer, but that doesn't seem to matter to me one way or the other. All right, so I've got a little bit of yellow still left on this number 10, the Skoda flat, and I'm going to just grab some green, some of this, I think it's sap. So it's going to be very yellow green, and we're going to do that right here. Let me grab a tad more. Just to, okay. Very chartreusey. Because I only have one green. Really, I just have one of each color on this palette. And I'm not trying to neutralize them, so I'm not mixing them with their complements, but I am mixing them with their sister colors on the palette. So red with orange, orange with yellow, yellow with green, to get a blend happening. And if I want to darken this green, I can take a little of the neutral tint and add to it. Okay, so then let's grab a bit more full strength of the sap and go up here. Grab a little neutral in that and see what happens. Darken that just a touch. Ooh, all kinds of schmutz in that. Gross. I know it's just dust, probably clothing dust, honestly. From dryers and lint. My laundry room's not far from my studio, but even still, yuck. Yeah. Now I'm going to add a bit more neutral tint to this green and see if I can get it a tad darker. And if you don't have neutral tint, you can take a swatch of each of your colors, put it in a little bowl off to the side, and then mix it all together, and now you suddenly have it. Some people call it the mother, but it's also called, you know, it's a neutral tint because it's all of the colors mixed together, and it neutralizes any color you're using with it. And in this case, all I'm trying to do is darken this green a little bit. And it didn't darken it much, it just darkened it a little. So what I might do is now add a little blue to this green. And that's going to make it go a little more turquoisey, but with any luck it'll also, if I only put a little bit, it'll make it darker green. Yeah. It did. It's still very much green leaning, but now the blue, which looks like a, if I had to guess, it looks like an ultramarine. Okay. Now let's do what? Let's go back to our yellow. Ooh. Puce. Boxes are getting smaller again, and that's okay. All right. Another green, I think. Let's go back dark again. Let's add a little more ultramarine to this. Maybe a touch of, looks like that one's Prussian over there. Let's see what we get. I'm going to leave this one blank to put a blue, so it means I'm going to come up here and put a green, I think, here. That's more like a hooker's green to me. My mama would have called that a Kelly green, but I don't think so. I think that's technically correct. Okay. Yeah. All right, and I'm leaving the green on my brush. And now I have what I suspect is a cobalt teal on my palette. So I'm just going to grab a little green and cobalt teal. And I'm going to go here. Ooh, interesting. That cobalt teal is really wet. Come down here and have a little heavier cobalt teal and fill this in. Yeah, like that. Now I'm going to go a little heavier again on the cobalt teal and just kind of go above. I may have to switch my brush soon. This is a bit of a struggle using this 1/4 inch flat for these boxes. I know it shouldn't be, but it is. I very rarely work in my sketchbooks from front to back. I always skip around. And in that skipping around process, I I frequently end up with pages that are only half done or, you know, partially done, whatever. And I like this one. I just added a little bit of Prussian to the cobalt teal and got this beautiful beauty. And so then you are left with, you know, fixing it's not the right word, but, you know, making it a page where you don't go, oh, pass over it, you know. So today's a fixing day. But you got to come up with an idea. I mean, you got to have an idea that makes you happy. Otherwise, you're still going to pass over it. So sometimes you just keep skipping over it till something comes to you. Okay. Now let's add a little neutral tint to this and just see if we can dodge. Ooh, that was a lot of neutral tint there. Okay, let's add a little more turquoise back in. See what that does? That little bit of brown or gray or whatever color you're using totally neutralized that and made it much more interesting. I really like this color neutralized a lot. Sometimes I get nervous, I'll be real honest, about adding a neutralization color, either a mother or a neutral tint or whatever, to a color that I love, like turquoise, because I worry it's gonna make it ugly. Let's just call it what it is. But that is gorgeous. Look at that. I'm gonna add a little bit more and go a little darker. Yep, I am. Nope, I don't think I went darker. Okay, that's gonna be interesting. But look at that. Wouldn't that be a great, like, moody seascape color? Hold on. My hand's in the way, I know. And it has to dry down because it's still... But that would make a really great, like, moody sea. Oh, gorgeous. I don't even think you can see it that well. Hold on. Let me lift her up. Helps you put it in the right spot. And I'm not even sure. Yeah, it's just got to dry because you're just not getting a good feel for it. I mean, not that you're not, but the camera's not. All right, let's go a little back towards mainstream here. And you'll see the contrast. Yeah, pretty. Now we're going to add a bit more green to it. We're going to lean it back green because you can bend colors, you know. You can bend them towards green, you can bend them towards blue. And if you keep the dust, the schmutz out of them, you can bend them towards a pretty color. Definitely. Okay, now the decision is we're in the next row. I didn't do any blue, I didn't leave any space, so that was silly. All right, well, let's just go ahead and do a turquoise lap over. So we did one here, we did one here, the feathering. Let's do, well, let's just go up and maybe we'll do a feather here. I shouldn't be too symmetrical with this because I'm kind of being very grid-like, and I'm not sure I want to do that. I may even do another one here. Yeah, exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do another one here because I don't want it just to be too samey, too predictable. I like the lack of rigidness, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. And then I might do, let's see, maybe I'll do another one like down here. Ooh, that's super turquoisey. All right, so let's grab some ultramarine and start transitioning here. And I still have the teal on my brush, so obviously we're getting that double loaded color, which I really like when that happens. That's probably my favorite technique, is to double load a brush, whether it's intentional or whatever. I like I like the look of it. Overrun. Woo. And I'm just mixing in my pan in real time with the other stuff I've already been mixing, which I think gives you a nice effect when you're just, it's not being random, but it's also not being like, okay, 2 parts of this and 1 part, you know, I'm just grabbing stuff. Because I technically have 2 blues in this palette. I have an ultramarine and I have a Prussian. If my eyes are not deceiving me, I do. And then when you add turquoise or green to it, of course you get variations of that. Like ooh, hello. That had a little bit of neutral tint, a little bit of green, a little bit of ultramarine, and a little bit of Prussian. But boy, that Prussian's just coming straight to the front going, pick me, pick me. All right. I think there might be a tad of cerulean here, like on the bump. Yeah, that looks very cerulean, doesn't it? What I don't have is an indigo or anything super dark. That's all right. I'm just gonna kind of go dark with some neutral tint here and see. Oh, mercy sakes, that was way too much. We're gonna put that back over here. I grabbed a whole globule and didn't mean to. Let's water that down. Worse, mercy, mercy, mercy. Well, it's good to have a mass tone in there somewhere, right? Let's come back up here with this and get some of this pigment off the brush. I just grabbed a little violet. You sure couldn't tell it. Okay, I'm gonna go back and visit green. Pull some green in here. Just throw an audible here. Bend that back towards the green. Yeah. This one's also bending towards green, I think. Just kind of should show you. I'm just kind of, okay, let's grab some green. All right. Mad scientist with my paint palette. I do have a fear of, like, I don't know, messing up when I mix colors. So I feel like if I could take a palette that I just don't, you know, oh, it's not precious, not treated as such, that I can have some fun experimenting with colors and get comfortable with the idea of these experiments. And you know, how wrong can it go? I mean, if you're not doing complementary colors, if you're not doing colors across the color wheel, you're going to end up with a good result. You don't have a choice. All right, now I think we need to go and put a couple of these colors like here. Now I think we need to switch to blue. Just full strength blue. All right, let's go ultramarine here. And let's go ultramarine here. You have to move these clamps around a bit. This isn't full strength ultramarine because obviously there's still some stuff in my brush. I should probably clean it, but I don't want to. I feel like I'll get to the ultramarine eventually, you know? Oh, there it is. Found it. Definitely found it. All right, let's grab a little ultramarine now. And that Prussian, man, it just goes whack with its color. Says you will love me. And I do love you. But I have to keep you in control. Okay. I added some violet to that, but you sure couldn't tell it because it's still reading kind of indigo, I think. which I don't dislike. I lost my indigo there. I lost my violet rather. Wow. Hello. I think that's dioxazine purple. But I could be wrong, so don't take my word for that, because that's very super vibrant. Adding a little neutral tint to that. And that turned like almost grape. Still using this 1/4 inch flat. I keep thinking in a minute I'll switch it around, but so far, no. I haven't done it, obviously. Okay, what are we gonna do now? I don't know. Whoopsie. We'll go full tone. Golly beat. That is purple. Mercy sakes. Almost looks black. It's fine. Alright, now let's water this down with maybe a red. What do we think? Head that way, right? Put too much red in this. Look, it's Barney. No, it's Grimace from McDonald's. Barney's the one above. See how I'm skipping around but still kind of staying in the same area? I think that does a couple of things. One is it feels like it's intentional, but two, it just that feathering in thing. Okay, now let's see if we can make this a bit more pink. The only way I know to do that is just add a whole lot of water and a little more red. I think that's the right thing. I might be making a big old mess. I'm trying to, you know, I might cheat and pull out. Oh, that's a nice lavender. Okay, so obviously the red did not come through with that. I may cheat and pull out this palette, which has some opera on it, just to kind of complete the picture, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that's what it needed. It needed that luminousness of opera. This is left over from a glazing exercise I did a couple videos back where I glazed. This is Daniel Smith's Opera Pink. I'm just adding a little bit more. And this is Quin Magenta right here. Because I just did this, you know, a couple days ago. I remember what I put in these wells. Let me do that, and then we grab a little Quin Magenta and see what we get. Okay, a little bit more. Ooh, hello. She's not very wet. Let me grab a little water. Grab a little opera, a little Quin Magenta. Too much water. And then let me just grab kind of a full strength, if you will, Quin Magenta. Ooh, hello. Well, these boxes are sloppy, but I don't care. It finished the idea. It finished the, completed the color range. And we got to play with some paints. So I'm happy. And then I'll probably just do some things like, I don't know, scoot this down a little bit. I'll just make some boxes and I'll come back and label them. I know what these are, some of these. But anyway, that's going to do it for now. I'll do that later. You don't need to see me do that, but that's just for my own. But there we go. A little rainbow window pane. So thanks for stopping by again. We'll see you again soon. Bye.